Greetings, everyone. Happy Sunday. Today is the day that the sun rules. I am the Moon Mama, and we are in our Master Nodal class. Now, I want to say that I want to remind us, for those of us who have been practicing with me this entire time, this class started when the sun was in Capricorn. That's when the nodes moved into Virgo and Pisces. So now the sun has been in Capricorn, it has been in Aquarius, it has been in Pisces, and now it's in Aries. This is an 18-month process of of following the transits of the nodes through Pisces and Virgo. And we have been doing this work for almost 3 months. It's an 18-month thing. And so we've been here. So we have like 15 months left, right? And I just want us to understand that the process of reprogramming the psyche, your life, your accessing your dharma, releasing old patterns, it is a process. It is not something that happens overnight. Not that it can't happen overnight, because the creator is possible of all things. Everything is possible. And in some ways it does happen, because the moment you make up your mind, it's already done. But then the physical world has to catch up with it. So you can have an internal declaration of transformation, change, becoming a new person, but then the physical world has to catch up with that. And that is a process. That is a process. So we are tracking the nodes through the heavens. This is our Master Nodal class, and we are in the process of transforming ourselves from one way of being into another. The process of this is about releasing old patterns, old ways of being, old thought forms, old ancestral codes, so that you can update your own system, your own, like your software, like with your cell phone, and you get a new update and they go, do you want to take this update? That's what you're doing. You're updating your own psyche, your own emotional body, your own mental body. Right now we have the sun in Aries. We have Mercury retrograde in Aries, which is an opportunity to transform your mind. Literally, when I was a Christian, in the Bible, it says, be thee renewed by the transforming of your mind. That is what we are doing. We are literally transforming our minds. We are looking at the experiences in our lives and seeing how we can tell a new story about it. Something that has maybe happened, how can you see it from a different perspective? For me currently right now, because Aries is about the self, and I have had a narrative that I am not worthy, or that I don't get what I want, that everyone else gets what they desire and what they want, but I get left out. So I'm starting to ask myself, is there another way to look at that? So I look at it as like, oh, it's a betrayal, like some way that I betray myself, or some way that I expect others to do for me what I'm not willing to do for myself. And because we are in Aries, the self, I'm going to begin to ask myself, well, how can I show up for myself? How can I stop expecting that somebody else is going to abandon me, which is a pattern based in my relationship with my parents, because I have been carrying an abandonment wound. And so that abandonment wound gets played over and over and over again, because it was seated in my relationship with my parents. And now that I see it, I'm like, oh, I'm not going to abandon myself. I'm not going to expect others to show up for me, because the expectation is like a child expecting their parent to do, like, oh, my parents should do this. I don't know how to do it. But because that didn't happen, that doesn't mean that I don't take responsibility at some point. That doesn't mean that I'm going to continue to blame my parents and continue to make my parents responsible for the need that didn't get met. I am now going to say, I will meet my own need. I will take responsibility for. I will not abandon myself. I will not betray myself, right? And so while we are in Aries, we have an opportunity with this new moon, Mercury retrograde, and Venus retrograde to tell a new story about ourselves. how we show up for ourselves, how we care for ourselves, how we are courageously true to ourselves, how we prioritize ourselves, how we initiate new choices and well-being for ourselves, not based upon other people's behavior. Like, sometimes I see in my own behavior where I'm like, oh, well, since they didn't do it for me, then I'm mad. Now I'm gonna do it my way. No, no, no. That's not it. That still continues the abandonment wound. That still continues the internal rejection, the internal idea that it should be somebody else. Literally, it is a joy and a celebration to be able to activate our own codes, to be able to prioritize ourselves, to be able to give ourselves what we need, to be able to remember who we really are. And no one else can give that to you. No one else can point that to you. No one else can show you. People can say, people can help you go, oh, well, it felt better when you did it this way over there. Like, so you can understand how your instrument works. But you are responsible for how you are meant to function and what your needs are and how you get your needs met. And so the moon is also in Aries. It's actually going into Taurus today. Let me see. Hold on a second. Sometimes I forget. Sometimes I don't know, y'all. Sometimes I don't. So I got to go check. I'm checking right now. Astro clock. Yes, the moon is in the final degrees of Aries. So the moon will be in Taurus shortly, like, in a few hours. So we are looking at the ways that we have given our authority away, where we have allowed circumstances to determine who we are, what we believe about ourselves, and how we show up for ourselves. And what we're doing is taking responsibility for that and seeing if you can tell yourself a new story about it. What else can you determine as the truth for yourself based upon an experience that you're having? Look at it from a different lens, And so I was just giving an example of like my parents and how they didn't show up for me. And so because they didn't show up for me, I continue to repeat that pattern of not having my needs met because it was initiated with my parents. But at some point, I had to say, okay, am I going to continue the pattern just because this is what my parents patterned for me? Am I going to continue this pattern when every time I fall on my fucking face? Am I going to continue to blame my parents for this? Or this person that is now showing up and behaving the way my parents behave? Or am I going to do the thing that I need to do for me and not give my power away? Take back the authority. So that is all we got going on today, you all. There's so much happening astrologically. Venus is still retrograde. Mercury is retrograde. Neptune is in the mix. Neptune is going into Aries. So Neptune and Aries Neptune is this water, compassion, love. It's also, in Western astrology, like it's confusion. I don't think it's confusion at all, but I'm very Neptunian. So it's really an opportunity to love yourself in the ways that you need love and not expecting someone else to do it. Not expecting someone to meet your needs. Like you take responsibility for your needs. If that means getting clear about what your needs are and hiring somebody to meet your needs, getting clear about what your needs are and meeting them yourself, like really understanding what you need. I remember one of the things that I loved about my mother, she died when I was, I think she died when I was 29. But my mother was she used to wash her panties by hand. She polished her own nails. She was just she was like a woman's woman. She was into being a woman. And I really loved how she took care of herself. She didn't outsource her care. She polished her own toenails, but not just polished. She manicured her feet, manicured her nails, hand washed her panties, hand washed her bras, took care of her skin, took care of her hair. She was very devoted to her own self-care. Peace and blessings, seasons of the sun. So you are now in the driver's seat of your own needs and care, and not looking to someone else to make sure that you have your needs met. So what are those needs? What are those things that are important to you that you are going to prioritize in your own life, in your own awareness? All right, you all. If you need support, you can source me from healwithmoonmama.com or send me a private message. I am open for private coaching. For many of you who don't know, like, I am a therapist, but I use astrology to support my clients, because your code is the best way for me to support you and give you support and advice, and support you in healing through your code. And so for those of you who are looking for someone to support you in transforming your life and up leveling and evolving, I would love to be able to support you with that. Also, if you need support with this retrograde, Mercury retrograde, Venus retrograde, I can do that. And for those of you who are interested in joining Daughters of the 13 Moons, we will have a orientation on April 17th for those who are interested in joining for our next cycle. Peace and blessings, everyone. Have a really beautiful day. Bye-bye.